many deals are you guys doing a month?
Last month we did 33. The month before that we did 41.
I have someone that has done hundreds of deals. He's going to teach you and I how to get better at sales, how to make more money. He's made millions and millions and millions of dollars in real estate. This year, they'll do about $4 million in revenue. How does someone make millions of dollars as a wholesaler?
If you're going to do it as a wholesaler, the first thing I'd recommend doing is
I feel like that's like the key to building a 7-figure wholesale business. Dakota Bailey.
Yes, sir.
Let's go, baby. Indiana. Indiana.
Fort Wayne, Indiana. DakotaBailey.in. That stands for Indiana because Brian said to do it.
There we go.
Going to be the king of Indiana.
King of Indiana. He's he's like Reggie Miller. So let's get straight to it. How does someone make millions of dollars as a wholesaler?
So if you're going to do it as a wholesaler, the first thing I'd recommend doing is obviously bringing in an acquisitions guy. So you're going to have to get really good at marketing and sales. So I'd be bringing in an acquisitions guy first things first. That's what we did to really start scaling up the business because I think it's kind of difficult. Have you done $1 million by yourself, like just you?
I've done $1 million by myself with a TC. Actually, no, and I had 2 acquisition people.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So actually breaking $1 million, I needed 2 acquisitions.
Have you seen anybody do it with one guy, just them?
No, not really. No.
I'll say, because that's what I'm thinking is like, I don't think that I could do it just by myself. I think I could probably make, if I was going to be 100% solo where I'm doing the TC, the acquisitions, all that stuff, I bet I could make $500,000 to $750,000 a year. I'd be grinding. I'd be working a lot. I have to put out a lot of fires. But in my opinion, if you wanted to start making millions, you're going to have to bring on people. I always like to pay people on a commission structure because then it's not actually costing you anything and they get free training if they just end up not working out. So that's usually my advice for bringing on acquisitions people. Bring them on, 100% commission, train them really well, and then they're going to make a lot of money on the back end. So
yeah,
that would be the first thing that I would do is bring on an acquisitions person and set up your marketing, start setting up your systems. And then if you don't have anything like already set up marketing wise, then you could just have that acquisitions reaching out to agents. You could have them reaching out to people for sale by owner. You could have them doing that stuff while you get the marketing set up. But the first things first is you need to have a person who is 100% always going out there and looking for the deal, negotiating and trying to get that. That's where I would start.
Yeah, so we could break up this podcast into 3. It'll be acquisitions, marketing, and then operations.
Okay.
And then we can get into faith and all that other fun stuff. So what I always say, sales is the number one most important quality a person needs to have or understand that is needed.
Yeah.
So most people that fail in real estate fail because they rather suck at sales and they get stuck on the operation stuff. Like, do I got my LLC? Do I have my website? Is my CRM set up? Do I have the right numbers? Am I compliant and all these things? But they never go out and hunt for sales. And if you're that type of person, you have to realize that you're that type of person and go find an acquisition person.
Yep.
And then the next analogy I use, and then I want you to talk about, scaling your sales team is, let's say you're good at boxing, right? Let's say me and you box. Who's going to win?
I'll definitely win.
You'll definitely win. We're going to use this as an analogy for sales, right?
Okay.
You're better at boxing than me, and you're doing sales, and you're going to beat me, right? Now, let's say me and Ryan go up against you. Then who's going to win?
Probably you guys.
Yeah. Or let's just say you still might win because you're better at sales, right?
Right.
Analogy, better at boxing.
Yeah, it's less likely. The odds go down.
The odds go down. Now, what about me, Javi, and Ryan go up against you?
Very, very unlikely.
Very unlikely. It's the same with business.
Yeah.
If you're the only one producing sales in your company, you're going to lose to someone that knows how to build a team. It's just because guess what? There's going to be some days you don't work. There's going to be some days you're super busy with your operations. There's some days you don't feel like it. But when you have 3 to 4 other people always hitting the phones, they're going to win.
Yeah, and that's a good analogy. And then the other thing is that I always think about, you're changing your skill set based on whatever scenario you're in. Whereas these people only have to focus on building their sales skills. Whereas you got to build your sales skills, then you got to figure out how the marketing's going. Then you got to get into your strategy mind and look at the data and, how's this performing? Then you got to go into your TC brain and then start doing the transaction coordination. Like it's a lot of different modes that you have to turn into, and you're changing all of your emotional regulation based on whatever you need in that moment. Whereas if you're just focused on, I'm going to get really good at one thing being sales and acquisitions, which I think is the most important in my opinion. If you just get really good at that, that's all you have to focus on, locking up deals, and then it just moves on to the next person.
Yep.
And so, yeah, changing your mindset on where you're at all throughout the day is extremely difficult. And a lot of people are like, man, I'm really good multitasker, which I am, and you are too. It's still not as effective if you just had one role that you're going to do. It's always going to be more effective because just like you're just doing the same thing over and over and over again. You're going to develop so many more skills that way.